Hi there. I wanted to share my sermon for the day. The Jewish scripture reading is going to be from Psalm 23, and the gospel reading is going to be from John 9. But before I preach, I just want to just mention that, like all of the New Testament really, this story comes out of conflict between the Jewish community and the ancient church. And we need to remember that when we're reading it, that Jesus and all of his original followers are all Jewish. Everyone in this story is Jewish, but sometimes it talks about it as though only Jesus' adversaries are Jewish. And it's kind of because when this story is being told by the ancient church and when it's being written down in the gospel, it's gotten to a point where they've started forgetting that their faith started out as Jewish and that Jesus was Jewish, that the apostles were Jewish. But there's still clues in the story that not everybody in the Jewish community had the same attitude towards Jesus. So just wanted to mention that, keep it in mind. Sometimes it talks about the Jews when it's really just talking about Jewish religious leaders who were opposed to Jesus. It's not talking about the whole Jewish community. So feel free to have a read of those. Keep in mind that bias and start the video again when you've had a read. As I was saying, this reading often talks about the Jewish community as though they're all opposed to Jesus. Because when the church is telling this story, the church has often forgotten that Jesus himself and all of his first followers were Jewish. This controversy about healing on Shabbat or on the Sabbath, it's a disagreement that's happening within the Jewish community in the story. When the Pharisees hear that Jesus has healed somebody, some of them say that he's a bad man because he's done it on Shabbat. He's done it when all Jewish people are supposed to be resting. But there's others among the Pharisees who don't see it that way, because the healing is a sign of goodness. How could Jesus be bad? Something I find interesting is that Jesus doesn't ask this man who was born blind and needed to beg for a living. He never asks him what he wanted. The man is healed as part of a theological controversy, disagreement. He's healed by Jesus to demonstrate that Jesus brings light into the world so that we can see what's really going on around us. It's almost as though he's being used as a prop in the story, not really being considered as a full person. For the people among the religious leaders who are trying to figure out what happened, people who are investigating the incident, he's just a piece of evidence in their investigation of Jesus. They're not concerned with him as a person either. And when the church is telling this story, it seems like this man is being used to stand in for the experience of ancient Christians. Their experience has been that Jesus opened their eyes so that they can see what's really going on in the world, and they've seen too much. It's made them strange, and it's made their communities suspicious of them. It's meant that they've been interrogated by their community leaders. It's meant they've been kicked out of the community and estranged from their family. But I think this man who was born blind also resists being turned into just a symbol. Jesus uses him to illustrate bringing light into the world. The religious investigators use him as evidence of Jesus' goodness or badness. And the church uses him as a symbol of enlightenment and estrangement. But this man speaks for himself too. He expresses his frustration at being questioned again and again and not trusted, as though he's not a valid witness when his parents are called in to verify what he's said. He hates having to constantly retell the incident, and he hates that his witness is not being regarded. During life, we will find that we go through hard times. We may have experiences where people have not listened or cared about what we need. We may have had experiences where our witness is not listened to. We may have had experiences of being spooked or harassed or being rejected by our community or our family. It may be because Jesus opened our eyes and now we've seen too much to blend in. The Psalm of the week, Psalm 23, which is probably the best known psalm, I think. It encourages us that when things have been hard, God has been with us. God has been the good shepherd, providing the care that gets us through, walking with us even when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, nourishing us even when we're surrounded by hostility.